Okay, so it's rolling. Yep, just got the. Okay, avoid legal snags by telling people they are being recorded. Okay, you're being recorded. All right, so let's start it this way. What exactly did you announce today?
It's a bill that is co-sponsored by 45 members of Congress in a bipartisan way, allowing two things. One, to the state legislature in Puerto Rico to have a plebiscite or a referendum in the same day of the elections, having just one option: statehood, yes or no. That's the big difference about this bill. This bill gave the Puerto Rico government the scope of the same process the 32 territories when they were accepted as a state. Last two of them, Alaska and Hawaii. The second thing that this bill does is once you get a vote in the same date of the election in Puerto Rico, the result of that election would trigger the transition process to become a state. And that's what the bills actually provide for. So if I can tell you, first, it's creating Puerto Rico is treated unequally in many federal laws, and that's the reason we are been fighting for more than 100 years to have a proper relation with the United States as a first-class citizens. And this bill is just about equality, about having those opportunities instead of having 5 million Puerto Ricans living in the mainland and just 3.2 living on the island. So this bill just do two things. First, allowing the state legislature of Puerto Rico to conduct a local plebiscite or referendum with the federal funds, $2.5 million that were allocated in 2014 for a final solution status. Second, once this bill is approved, it will promote the transition through statehood and all the process of electing members and how the House and the Senate need to act on that. The difference between this bill and the many others that come before me is that this is the first one addressing the issue of statehood, yes or no. All of the prior referendums were just about what options do you want. Do you want statehood? Do you want independence? Do you want a kind of associated republic? Now we are not using any definition, just the ones that were used by Alaska and Hawaii and the rest of the territories to allow Puerto Ricans to decide whether or not they want to become a state. And I think in 2017 we voted for that. 97% of the people who voted in that plebiscite voted for statehood. But many people in the opposite side said that there were not enough people participating. So having this referendum the same day of the elections, like we did in 2012, where the statehood got 61% of the vote, would provide that certainty and the voice of the island. And I think this is a long overdue issue. When the Afro-American people got the right to vote 100 years ago, when we got the 19th Amendment, allowing the women movement to have exercise the right to vote, Puerto Rico is still waiting for more than 121 years to become a full citizens and actually voting. Many people knew about Puerto Rico being a territory of the United States because of Hurricane Maria and all the situation that we still live in. So why not having the final solution? Statehood for me is same thing as equality, and that's what we're fighting for.
Why not give the other options for people who may not want statehood?
Because in the past those options were there. And the second thing is that the Congress identified, and three White Houses, the Bush administration, Clinton, and Obama administration, as well as the Department of Justice, that you need to have final options, and the two final options is statehood or independence. So whatever other options that people may want or may think or may dream of are embodied in the no. If you want to become an independent nation, you can vote no. If you want any other sort of idea, you can vote no. But the only ones recognized by the U.S. government is statehood or independence, and that's the model we do have. So we are supporting statehood. That's the majority of the people on the island are supporting that. In 2012, it was 61%. 2017, 97%. And this is the question. That's the reason we were elected in 2016 as well. People on the island, they're American citizens, they're equals, and they want to have. I mean, people from the island, they don't leave Puerto Rico because they have got better weather in the mainland. Or people leave the island because they're looking for opportunities to study, to have a job, to have equal wages or treat healthcare situations. So we want to have those same opportunities, same access to resources, the application of the federal laws that today treat us differently, like a foreign country for one reason and like a state for another one. And that's the reason is yes or no. It's a simple question. Nobody can add a definition of what kind of statehood or what kind of independence or what other options that they're thinking is you want to become part of the nation as the 51st state, yes or no? If it's yes, then it will trigger the whole process for adding Puerto Rico as a state of the nation. If it's no, that lies there.
Do you think you can get this passed by both houses of Congress?
I mean, I will tell you this. This is long overdue. The fight for equality and civil rights is something that always take a lot of time. And that was the reason Afro-Americans, the women, took many years to gain that equality. I mean, this is the fight for Puerto Rico. I don't mind how long it will take. This is something that is not about me. It came before me by many other members of Congress, by many Puerto Ricans who fought. So I will continue that march. And this will happen. This is not about when. This is about who are the people who are going to be at the right side of the story. Of course, we just got 45 members, original co-sponsors, and we're going to have more. We're going to push this issue in the House. That, as a matter of fact, you got many people supporting Washington, D.C. to become a state. Why not Puerto Rico? You got 3.2 million American citizens living in the island. Why we are not equal to the rest of the citizens when our people went to Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Korea, World War I, World War II, and it's the same blood. They made the ultimate sacrifice, but yet they can't vote for the commander-in-chief. That's what we're talking about. Why our people can be equal. Sorry.
I just want to make sure I understand properly. Your bill, which you will submit, does it need to be passed by the House and the Senate before there can be a plebiscite in 2020, or you're going to do the plebiscite whether it's passed by the House and the Senate anyway?
Anyway, the second question. What the bill will promote is that when we got the result, if it's approved in the House and in the Senate, the bill that we are submitting today, it will trigger the transition through statehood. Today, if we vote and we don't have a process, there will be no transition to statehood. That's the main difference.
I see. Okay, so you're going to hold the plebiscite one way or another in 2020. Yes. That's the general election when you expect the highest turnout.
Exactly. That will permit a higher participation of the people, and then you won't have people saying that they're doing a boycott or something like that.
I understand. Do you have the approval of the Justice Department for this plebiscite?
We don't need to have it in order to have access to $2.5 billion, and actually the bill would not say anything about that.
Let's say that a majority of the people come out and vote for statehood. That would be in 2020. You don't have the support in the Congress right now. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said no. President Trump has said no. I know both of them.
I'm glad you said that.
I know both of them you work closely with. So for somebody who is watching this, who supports statehood and says, I want to go out and vote in 2020, but it's not going to go anywhere. What do you say?
No, actually, I differ from the impression. We got two situations here. First, many people don't even knew that Puerto Rico was part of the United States before Hurricane Maria. And it was because of media. It was because interviews like this. It was because of the whole situation on the island and many education process that came here along the Congress. The people knew about us. Second, the Republican platform supports statehood for Puerto Rico since many of the past presidents. So we're not talking about that it was just included in the last one. The 2016 Republican platforms support statehood for Puerto Rico. And actually, when President Trump was running, he put his belief in terms of saying that if Puerto Rico selects statehood, he will make that happen. So I know they may be saying some things now. The Senate Majority Leader is saying that he will not allow this to happen. You know what? I deferred. I think we have the opportunity, and our people are good when they go to war. Our people are good when they're in a combat situation. But why not getting that equality as a state? And I will fight that. I'm a Republican, but I don't believe that the Senate Majority Leader got the truth in his hand. This is about many lives of people that did the ultimate sacrifice. This is about 5 million Puerto Ricans living in the mainland, just three on the island. And I don't care if they support it or not. That happened in the past when the African American people were looking the right to vote. Same thing happened when the women movement tried to have the 19th Amendment approved. This is not about one person. This is about a state, a territory that had paid the ultimate sacrifice. And you know what? The United States is the beacon of democracy around the world. How you can be preaching that democracy when you got 3.2 million American citizens in your backyard that are not treated as Americans, that are not treated
but how do
equally?
you overcome that? But how do you overcome that? I mean, you clearly you are not delusional about the obstacles you face. So how do you
No.
overcome that? Because if you win in the plebiscite, it essentially goes nowhere because the president and the Senate Majority Leader have said no.
You know what? I believe in the other way. I think that ask from the people of Puerto Rico, without any different question, the same question the people from Alaska and Hawaii got, is a mandate. And the people, and especially in that election, the Senate and the president need to hear the voice of Puerto Ricans. I mean, we can't be good for the bad things and not good enough to have the equal treatment of the regular citizens. So this is a fight. And when you're fighting for civil rights, for equality, it doesn't matter if one person, two person, many are saying no to you. This will change, and this will take years. It takes years to get to this place right now. But we are every time improving what's equality fight in Puerto Rico. So, you know what? I don't. I will educate the president. I will educate the members of Congress. Many other members in the past were not supportive of this, and now there many of them are co-signers of this bill. Why? Because you need to educate. Why you allow people just taking a plane from San Juan to Florida, for Texas, to any other state, become and having all the rights, but not allowing that to the people that are living on the island? I will fight for that in front of everywhere, in
I
front of
was
everybody.
surprised. I was surprised to read in your bill that 65% of people who identify as Puerto Rico being their, their heritage, their origin, if you will, live in the states. 65% live in the states. I didn't realize the
Five
number was
million.
that high.
5 million Puerto Ricans living in the mainland and just 3.2 on the island. We used to have 4 million Puerto Ricans living in the island. That's no longer the situation. And that numbers is going to continue to rise if we don't have the same opportunities. People move because they don't have those options on the island. So again, I will always fight for equality. And when I say equality, it's all kind of equality to our people. I think we deserve it. We fought for that, and it's my generation the one that needs to continue to raise the issue here in the nation, in interviews, in the courts. So we are using any kind of strategy, filing suits on the courts, doing this kind of bills, resolutions, using another kinds of organizations like LULAC in the nation and many others that have supported statehood along the years.
Let me ask you this. Congressman Bishop, who used to be the head of the House Committee on Natural Resources, who's now in the minority party, has said that he believes that PROMESA and the Oversight Board needs to finish its job. And the Oversight Board has said it could take them until 2024. And he believes that nothing should be done until then. Do you think that another obstacle and hurdle for you is the Oversight Board's work, and that even if the plebiscite next year comes back favorable for people who support statehood, that that would be sort of another reason why folks like the president and McConnell would say, listen, now's not the time. We have to get you guys out of bankruptcy before we talk about statehood.
You know what? There's always for the people who want to be against, there's always a reason. They will always find something. The reality is that when PROMESA was approved, that oversight board, and actually I was against that, I'm still against, because you don't have that in many other states. That law provides that PROMESA will never interfere for finalizing the relationship between the United States and Puerto Rico and getting a final status resolution. So it is in that same law providing that status should be solved and that PROMESA can interfere, or the oversight interfere with that. So that will be my first answer. The second, I'll tell you with this, 2024, if we become a state, we will have many of the resources and opportunities to be as equal of any other citizen in the nation. Right now, while Puerto Rico is a territory, we just receive 55 cents per dollar to Medicaid. The rest of the states use the poverty level line and the annual income. In our case, that means that Puerto Rico needs to put 45 cents per dollar to treat 1.3 million patients on the island. The poorest state, it's Mississippi, and that means they got a lower poverty level line. Like we do have 47%. They do less than that. They got a medium income household of 42,000. We do have one of 19,000. And what that means? That means that the territory of Puerto Rico need to borrow and have borrowed money for many years just to apply the services and the benefits of Medicaid in Puerto Rico, but we never received that. And that happened with the five territories as well. So you will always have disparity that is triggering the bankruptcy, that is triggering the debt on the island. Let us have the same opportunities. Let us have the same tools. I'll tell you the difference. We do have 42% of our GDP is coming from the manufacturing services, medical devices, among others. We got the technical devices, we got the people, we got the expertise, but we don't have the same rules to apply to us. Some of those laws allows Puerto Rico to be treated as a foreign country and others as a domestic. So they're always in a fight. We will never get through if you continue to have those strains in order to have a better economy. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about this. There was an article on El Nuevo Dia that talked about you pushing for a bill that would essentially make Puerto Rico an incorporated territory. Can you explain more about that?
I don't know about that interview because I never did an interview with El Nuevo Dia, and the bill was just submitted today. So I don't know where they get the information. But I will tell you this. Once Puerto Rico selects to be a state, we will have the same period of time to be an incorporated territory, like the rest 32 territories did in order to become a state. That's a normal procedure in equal footing. That means having the same opportunities until we actually get the opportunity to elect our 2 senators and a representative. So it is going to be a transition time. And actually, if we were an incorporated territory, that means that the Constitution of the United States applies fully to Puerto Rico. Right now, because we are a non-incorporated territory, the U.S. Constitution do not apply fully to Puerto Rico. And that's the reason you got this inequality. That's the reason you got this discrimination. The Supreme Court of the United States in the insular cases decided that because we are not incorporated, the Constitution of the U.S. applies what the Congress decide. And I mean, as American citizens, we need the Constitution to apply fully to the island.
Let me ask you another.
I need to leave. Sorry about that.
I have one last question, just real quick.
Shoot.
There was a ruling by a judge who upheld a ban on cockfighting on the island. Do you support the ban against cockfighting?
No, I do not support the ban. And actually, I filed an amicus curiae, which is a friend of the court position, saying the reasons we should keep it. I mean, it is locally legislated since 1922, and the House and the Senate approved a bill without knowing the 29,000 employees that are working in this industry on the island, and the revenues, this industry that is very careful, I got many regulations, is approved. This is not illegal cockfighting. And sadly, the House and the Senate approved a bill without even doing a research, without even knowing how that was going to impact the territories. So the ruling of Judge Helpe says that if there's any connection with the interstate commerce, then it should be banned. So for my interpretation of that, if it's local, it can keep going. Of course, we're going to meet with the industry. We're going to meet with all the people who are working on this side. I do believe that that ban should not be put in place, should not be enforced.
But what do you say to the people who say cockfighting is animal cruelty, and that's why they're against it?
You know what? many people will believe many things. We're talking about the cockfighting. You get a veterinary there. I've been there. I've been there.
Right.
A veterinary there. They're very careful. That's an industry that most of those animals have been taken care of. This is not like you're going to the streets and allow illegal fighting happening. This is timely. This is a very different area, and I invite you to go to one of the arenas in Puerto Rico, and you will see the way those animals are treated and are cared for.
So you don't think it's animal cruelty?
No, cockfighting? No. I do believe that dogfighting is cruelty, and many others. This is a regulated area. So you got several rules that you need to comply with. Even if the animal doesn't want to fight, that fight is over.